Okay, so sine, cosine, and tangent. We learned those last year in Algebra 2. We remember that sine is the opposite side to the hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent side to the hypotenuse, and the tangent is opposite to adjacent. So right now we can only work with right triangles. So these work only with these. The SOHCAHTOA only works when you're dealing with a right angle. Excuse me, a right triangle. All right. So if I have to figure out opposite and adjacent, those seems to be the most difficult sides to always find. Hypotenuse is easy, correct? Where is the hypotenuse always going to be across from? Yeah, hypotenuse is always this one because it's across from the 90 degree. Okay. All right, so find the sine of A. If this is my A, then this is my adjacent side, and this is my opposite side. Opposite means across. Adjacent means right next to. Hypotenuse is never your adjacent side. So we're looking at a ratio of two sides. So if I want to find the sine of A, it would be which letters would I be looking at? A over B, correct. All right, the cosine. If I'm looking for the cosine of C, I got to switch down to angle C. Cosine, we said, was adjacent over hypotenuse, yes? What's your adjacent side? And we're dealing with angle C. So what side is adjacent? A, right? A over hypotenuse, which is B. So the sine of angle A is the same thing as the cosine of angle C. Do you see that? Because what is opposite for one angle is adjacent for the other. Okay? Tangent of B. Can you do that? Because opposite over adjacent, well, which one would be my adjacent side? Would it be C or would it be A? You can never take a sine, a cosine, or a tangent currently of a right angle. So this is not possible right now. Okay, so we talk about reciprocal trig functions. And you didn't learn this last year. This is called a cosecant. The symbol is CSC. And this is hypotenuse over opposite. It is the hypotenuse side over the opposite side. So which trig function is this a reciprocal trig function to? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine, right. All right. Yeah, it's like flipping it, right? I'm just flipping my ratio. So if I do hypotenuse over opposite, I'm really talking about the cosecant. The secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. It has SEC as its abbreviation. So which it's a reciprocal of which trig function? Cosine. Okay. Cotangent, adjacent over opposite, is what its two sides are comparing. And so we write it as COT. And so what is the cotangent reciprocal of? Tangent. So this is the only one that makes sense because cotangent and tangent kind of sound alike. So the way I remember this is that if I give you the sine, what does the sine's first letter start with? Its reciprocal will not start with the same letter. So that means cosecant. What does cosine start with? Well, the reciprocal will not start with a C. It starts with the S. So that leads you to think that the cosine and the secant and the sine and the cosecant. Because you're going to want to put sine and cosine together and secant and cosecant together and tangent and cotangent, but they are not true reciprocal functions. So there's a little memory device to help you. Okay? All right, so find the 6 values of the trig ratios for each angle S. Well, here's my angle S here. I lost them. Okay, these are right triangles, right? So here's how you have to write this. I want the sine of s, the cosine of s, the tangent of s. And then write the reciprocal across from each of the given. The sine of s, its reciprocal is the cosecant of s. The reciprocal of cosine is the secant of s. And then the tangent's reciprocal is, all right, these are values that we're going to put down. So angle S is the angle that I'm comparing, or I'm looking at. Well, sine is what? So what's my opposite? What's my hypotenuse? How do you figure it out? And that's called the Pythagorean theorem. Right triangle, Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The only thing that really matters is c squared, which represents the hypotenuse. So 21 squared plus 7 squared is c squared. It's the square root of who? What? I'm sorry, Ellen, what? 490. And what is the square root of 490? Oh, so that's not good. So this is 7 root 10. Yes, so c is 7 root 10. If it doesn't come out evenly, then simplify it down. 490 is 49 times 10. 49 is a perfect square, isn't it? And that's where I get the 7 root 10. Okay, so let's do this again. That means that the sine of s is now 21 over 7 root 10. But we learned in algebra that we can never, ever, ever leave a root in the denominator, right? Let's simplify this down if we can. Can't 7 go into 21 3 times? So isn't this 3 over root 10? Right? How do I rationalize this denominator? Root 10 over root 10, right? So this gives me then 3 root 10 over 10. Okay, did we follow that? Okay. I'm going to jump to the cosecant of s. Remember, they're reciprocals. They're just the flipping of the fraction. So if the sine of s is 3 root 10 over 10, what's the cosecant of s? Oh, but then we got to rationalize it again. So let's go one step back before we rationalized. Before we rationalized, we had 3 over root 10, right? So what is the reciprocal going to be? You went 2 steps back. I went 1 step back. Root 10 over 3. Making sense? All right, the cosine of s. Well, the cosine of s is going to be 7 over 7 root 10, which is nicely what? Which, when we rationalize it, is? All right, what's the secant then? Yeah, just root 10. Root 10 over 1, but we don't ever want to put that 1 in the denominator, right? All right, the tangent, what's the tangent? Oops, 21 over 7, which is 3. What's the cotangent? 1/3. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, let's do B. I got to find RS. That means 7 squared plus B squared equals 19 squared. Agreed? Get it right. You get your values right, otherwise you're going to get a totally wrong answer. So that means B squared is I get 312. So B is equal to the root 312, which I don't believe comes out evenly. Okay, so I know I can take at least 4 out of that. Okay, so this is 2 root 78. Do we know how to simplify that down? Or does anybody want me to show them? Do you remember? Or not? No? So 312 is a product of 2 and 156, which is a product of 2 and 78, which is a product of 2 and 39, which is a product of 3 and 13. So I only have one set of 2's. Oh, okay. But this makes sense? Okay. All right. So then we set up and we do all of our trig functions. We'll do the sine of s. What's the sine of s? 7 over 19. So that means the cosecant of s is, the cosine of s is equal to over. So therefore, the secant of s is equal to over 2 root 78. But then we got to rationalize, right? So that's 19 root 78 over 156. I'm multiplying top and bottom by root 78. I don't believe 19 goes to 156. Actually, you know what? I think it does. No, it didn't. What happened to the who? It did not. Because when I rationalize this, Alyssa, I went 78 over 78, right? And so what's 2 times 78? Yeah. What are you laughing at? What I do? Oh, it was Angela. Sorry. I knew it was behind me. Sorry. See what? Mm-hmm. No, because what's the square root of 78 times the square root of 78? I just rationalize the root, yes. Don't rationalize the number. The number 2 is fine down there. It's the square root that's the issue. Okay. All right, so the tangent of s is what? 7 over 2 root 78, which we now know is going to be 7 root 78 over 156. So then the cotangent of s is equal to? Yeah, it's really good to try and not do it after you've rationalized. Go back a step and look before you rationalize to flip and find your reciprocal trig function. All right, so if the tangent of my angle is 5, then the cotangent of my angle is? If the sine of my angle is 3/8, then the cosecant is? Are we good? That was easy.